Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Beach Talk Radio for Friday night. And it is October the 16th, and we will be back at Beach Time Out tomorrow morning for episode number 135. And before we get started tonight with our great debate, episode 135 tomorrow will include at 9 o'clock folks from the Captains for Clean Water. As you probably heard, the Caloosahatchee releases started, or is it Lake O? It's Lake O or Caloosahatchee? Well, one is releasing into the other, but we're going to talk to the guys from Captains for Clean Water tomorrow at 9. And then at 9:30, Mike Hammond from Lee County and Brian Stockbridge from Gulf Coast Kayak will join us to talk about the Calusa Blue Wave Fishing Tournament. And that's all tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock at Pete's Time Out. And also, we want to make sure that you sign up for our headlines at beachtalkradionews.com. You can see all the stories that we have on the website right now. I'm going to flip through a few of them here. You can see the stories that we did from the council meeting that took place yesterday about the new Times Square, about the new New Year's Eve fireworks. About the special message, I'll get it right, from Chief Love, who had an accident and wanted to thank the community. Of course, we always have a mask story going on with the town of Fort Myers, so that's on there as well. The turtle slider sales, all that stuff, you can check out at beachtalkradionews.com, and you can sign up for our headlines, which come out every Tuesday and Friday at 7 o'clock. But tonight, a very special edition of Beach Talk Radio, and we're going to head on to Orlando and introduce our first guest for the Trump versus Biden debate tonight. For the next 28 minutes is Kim's dad. You've probably seen him on the Saturday morning show at the end of the last few episodes, talking up the Biden-Harris camp. So he'll be telling us all about what he thinks about the election in 19 days now, and also a regular now, Greg Skasny, who is a big Trump supporter. So first thing, guys, I want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with our 9 followers.
I don't know how much wisdom and knowledge we'll have here, but we're going to have fun.
Yeah. So Dave, how are things going up in Orlando?
Oh, it's going well. It's looking good. It's looking good. We get a lot of Democrats voting in our county, and and it's partly Democrats vote by mail and vote early more than Republicans. So it's hard to really come up with a figure, but I think we're looking good for getting Joe elected, at least getting a vote in our county.
I think you meant early and often, right? No, I'm just messing. Sorry.
So before we get started on the issues,
I think that was Trump's suggestion to his base.
No.
Vote early and vote often. Wasn't it to vote by mail and then go vote on election day too?
Just got to make sure your vote counts.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention real quick before we started about the issues was the spectacle of the president coming to your town. Today, it's just a coincidence that Trump was in Fort Myers and he made a speech downtown at the new hotel. No matter what side you're on or who's the president, just to see that entire parade of cars and the everything that goes on with keeping the president safe it's quite a sight. Has any president come to Orlando, Dave, while you were there, and were you able to experience that?
Well, actually, a president did. Now Trump was here last, I think it was Monday or Tuesday evening. Had a brief rally in Sanford, Florida, which is a little north of Orlando. But I didn't attend that, and I didn't attend the anti protest over I-4 either. So No, but some years ago, President Obama had been here, and we were driving up I-4, and we saw his cavalcade, a lot of motorcycle cops and then limos, and coming down the other way. So it wasn't like actually getting together with him, but it was, at least he was here.
Yeah, the amount of security and logistics that goes into a presidential visit is beyond most people's comprehension. It's a lot. I mean, so
Yes.
And especially this time of the year for Trump. I mean, he was going to be in Sarasota at 4:00, and then I'm sure somewhere else after that, being that, they're both trying to win the election. So it's got to be crazy for all those people in the background that are trying to make sure every single town they go to is secure. But anyway,
what they do.
Yeah, they do. They do. Obviously, they do a great job in keeping all the presidents safe. But anyway, so let's get right to the issues. And Dave, let's start off with you. Obviously, the biggest issue of all is COVID-19 and the handling of the pandemic from back in March. Let's get your opinion first on how you think this president did with the pandemic.
Well, he has failed dramatically. He took some early action to prevent flights of people from China come to the United States when the outbreak was there. But he likes to talk about that one. That is something that he did. But when he did it, it only involved Chinese citizens coming. So Chinese people who were in China but had been living in the United States, they came over, as did, of course, a lot of Americans who were visiting China, maybe had business in China. They came back. And so that group still brought in the virus and got it started in the United States. But the rest of it is a very sad story that comes along with no real leadership from the president. And that's really what the people expect from the president. He never took responsibility for making it happen. He had his little commission, but he abandoned that after a short period of time himself and handed it off to Pence, and that's gone back and forth, and they're hardly even having meetings. I heard today they're down to, I think it was Fauci who said they're down to one meeting a week now, which is, and the numbers are skyrocketing. So it's just been a total failure of leadership. And what else? I'm looking at, the Market Watch website had a thing the other day that the magazine Nature has joined several others, Scientific American, the New England Journal of Medicine, and Lancet Oncology, magazines that have criticized Trump for his terrible handling of this and have endorsed Biden. So, the science is with, we just have failed.
Greg?
Okay. Yeah, so
let's let Dave. You had a final thought there, Dave?
Well, I know we reached 2 million COVID cases in the United States today.
Gotcha. Great.
Okay. Yep, absolutely. So I just wholeheartedly disagree with everything Dave said. So, he did put in the travel ban. Joe Biden called him xenophobic, criticized him. Nancy Pelosi sat out there, said, come to Chinatown. I get it. He sent the naval ship Comfort to New York City. Never got used, right? So sent more ventilators, had more ventilators made, never got used. New York City said, we need ventilators. Never got used. Opened up the Javits Center as a field hospital, right? Trump did that, never got used. Opened up McCormick Place in Chicago, never got used, right? So signed the Defense Production Act. There's nothing that anybody could do. And again, whether you want to believe in the travel ban or not, I think you need to do that to try to slow the spread, but you're not stopping the spread of an airborne vascular virus, no, airborne virus that like COVID is. It's going to happen. It's got to run its course. But the thing that makes me smile or laugh a little bit is the way that the left likes to change the narrative. So first it was, we got to smash the curve. We got to keep people out of the hospital. And then we got to keep people from dying. And then as soon as all that stuff starts to go down, it's like, oh, now we got to count cases. But they never tell you, and no one ever goes far enough to look at how they count cases, right? So, and just for those who don't know, the way they count cases, they use a thing called PCR testing. So PCR, it's from Thermo Fisher. You can look it up. It's an amplification technique. It tells you nothing about the spread of a virus or the severity of a virus, or how infectious you are. It's a binary test. It's either you have a piece of COVID RNA in your system or you don't. And it's very, very dependent on how they run the test. If they follow the manufacturer's recommendations of 20 to 35, what they call amplification cycles, that gives you a pretty good indication of, again, whether you have RNA of the virus or not. Has no indication of viral load, has no indication if you're infectious, has no indication if you're even sick. So now they want to go on to these cases where they're using these PCR tests, and some of these labs use 40 to 47 amplification cycles. So again, you can look this up. It's just that continuous changing narrative to try to get Trump out of office. And if you look at the real data, COVID has a 99.9% or 99.7 average survival rate for people under 70. I mean, look at Chris Christie. He's a morbidly obese asthmatic. He beat it, right? He's out of the hospital. He went on the ventilator. He didn't die. So the Democrats still want to politicize this virus every single chance they get. It's just, again, you look at people like Florida. Florida's open for business. Ron DeSantis opened Florida. Guess what? Our hospitals are fine. We have no spike. We have no huge spikes in deaths. We have no huge spikes in hospitalizations. I think in Lee County, there's 53 people last time I looked in the hospital for COVID. Right. So again, they're instead of using the real science and looking at what's going to do, they just want to politicize the virus, make it sensational to try to get Trump out of office.
Dave, do you think that somebody else might have handled it better where less people would have died? How could less people have died? I wonder about that.
Well, absolutely. But I want to challenge one part of what Greg's saying.
Right.
He's talking about the testing and the type of testing, but the number of cases that everybody's reporting on are the cases that are actually reported by hospitals making diagnosis and taking in patients.
A case is a positive test.
That's the 2 million.
A case is a positive test. That's if you go right now and get tested for COVID, you test positive, you get counted as a case. That's how the Department of Health counts those cases. So again, they don't count.
I disagree with you, but
if you go to the hospital but if you go to the hospital
what I see here are the number of cases of people, and I'm sure this is true on the Florida website, that it's the people who are checked into hospitals. And those numbers,
because if that was the case,
numbers are going up now. Great, I think
if that was the case,
if you haven't seen the last month or so, cases are going up.
But Dave, you're not realizing that
hospitals are filling up.
If that's that one, that's unequivocal. That's absolutely false. The hospitals are filling up with COVID cases. Secondly, if it was the case that people that were hospitalized are who is being counted as cases, then the number of hospitalizations in Lee County, where I live, would exactly match the number of positive COVID cases that happen in Lee County, and they don't match. It's because anybody can go get tested, and if you're tested positive, that's counted as a positive case. And again, that's the wrong thing to do. Again, that's what the left wants to point to, is that it's all cases. We have record low hospitalizations.
Let's not spend the whole time on one
sorry.
topic, but I just want to get, Dave, I do want to get your thoughts on whether you think a Democrat would have handled it differently and less people would have died.
Well, I think so, but I got to call one more. Call Greg on one.
Come on, man. I'm the moderator here. I'm the moderator. Don't make me look like Chris Wallace.
He said 99.7% of the cases survive, but and he said under 70. You know what? I'm 74.
Right. So 99 point.
We're the ones who are dying. So
99.5 99.5% of people over 70 survive COVID.
Okay,
That's not my number. That's CDC.
I think it's more. I think it's more like a 1% fatality overall.
That's CDC. I can share the screen and show you. CDC.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Forget my question.
What was the question?
The second topic that I wanted to talk about, and let's start with you, Greg. Why is President Trump good for? Wait, you wanted me to change the what I was going to say middle class, but Dave wanted me to change that to citizens. Is that right?
Yes.
What is it about Trump, Greg, that is going to be helpful to the citizens or the middle class? So, however you want to phrase it, go ahead.
So citizens, middle class. I mean, I think you need to talk about everybody. So I can tell you who Trump hasn't been good for financially is the upper class. So talked about this last time, but there's the Fed survey of consumer finances. Again, it's nonpartisan. It's done every 3 years. It's not from the Trump campaign. Shows that the top income earning ladders had very little change under President Trump, but the lower and bottom income earner families showed substantial gains. Business ownership is up, and it said business equity among blacks the past 3 years increased 138% under President Trump, and nothing under Obama Biden. Tax and spend doesn't work. We know that. President Trump in 3.5 years prior to COVID had the best economy in years, had record low unemployment, historically record low unemployment for minorities. To say he's not good for the citizens, I mean, we're a prospering nation. We're a strong nation. We're a non-apologetic nation under Trump, not like we were under Obama Biden. And the first thing that Joe Biden wants to do is remove Trump's tax cuts, which will remove a middle-class tax cut. Trump doubled the standard deduction. So the standard deduction is not something that rich people use. The middle class utilizes the standard deduction, and he doubled it. That is an immediate tax cut to every middle-class person out there. When Joe Biden says, I'm not going to raise taxes under someone who doesn't make under $400,000, but he says he's going to revoke the Trump tax cuts, that's getting rid of the doubling of the standard deduction, which is an immediate tax increase for everybody in the middle class. So, it all comes out. Biden's been in politics for 47 years, hasn't done SHIT for the middle class or anything, to be honest with you. Trump's been here for 3.5 years, and he had one of the best economies we've ever seen. So proof is in performance. Well, yeah, COVID. I mean, I get it. I mean, but we're already back to today's unemployment numbers, 7.4, 7.6%. Not too bad coming off of a pandemic where we have Democratic governors who refuse to open their economies.
All right, Dave, back to you for the economic argument for the citizens of America.
Trump inherited a really good economy after 8 years of Barack Obama, growing jobs after the first quarter that he was in there and climbing all the way up. And his figures beat Trump in several different periods of time. So, yes, there was growth up until this year. But you know what? It's gone. It's gone. And like you say, what is it, 7 million now unemployed? So that's not a good record. He's going to go out at a terrible time. So he hasn't really done very much at all for workers. Workers are out of work now, and they're not providing the unemployment. The Republicans are refusing to spend more money in that area. So it's not that good. And yes, you can say the first few years he did well, but he cut taxes. The national debt has increased. You probably know the number, and I don't. But it's what, maybe $9 trillion or so. So, that's a burden that the next president is going to take on, and it's going to take some good management to actually get that worked down again.
Well,
So
Trump will
Dave,
be our
don't-
next president, but
hold
I
on a
have
second,
one
Greg.
thing.
Hold on a second before you jump in there. Dave, don't you think that the reason that the economy went into the crapper was 100% COVID related? It had nothing to do with anything else. And I honestly, I've said this on my show 1,000 times. I think Trump is a bit of a boob, but he did for 3 years. He had a strong economy, and it was flushed down the toilet because of COVID, not because of anything else.
I don't disagree with you, but that's his failure as a president. And, you know,
Okay.
you look back.
Hold on. Okay, hold on for 1 second. So are you saying that if a Democrat was the president, they wouldn't have shut the economy down?
You know, it's hard to say, but I think we would have a much fewer, maybe half as many deaths in the United States now.
That's not what I didn't ask you about the deaths. I didn't ask you about we were talking about the economy.
That's critical. And
I understand that's a critical part of it, but the question was, if a Democrat was president, how could the economy be stronger? What would have been different? They would have shut my opinion, they would have shut things down even more, because they're big fraidy cats when it comes to everything. They don't want anybody to live their lives. If it was up to I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So let me jump in real quick. So,
No, Greg, hold on. Let him get back at me. Go ahead.
Here's the difference. We got things locked down, but it wasn't Trump. It was the governors, because Trump refused to do it. And he dished it out to the governors, which is no way to handle a national pandemic.
Well,
So
you obviously don't know the
saying that
Constitution.
it should have been shut, but everybody agrees at the beginning we didn't know what we were dealing with. We probably should have shut down, at least till we figured out what we were dealing with. But you can't be shut down forever.
He knew a lot more than he said.
So let me just jump in real quick, because you guys are killing me here.
No.
So
we shut down, but then we opened up too quickly. And if we had stayed
Absolutely
shut
not.
down for another month, the cases would have come down. You know, that's
and as
why
soon as you open up, they come back again.
Now
You can't
is
run
the
and hide.
third wave of
third wave.
increases in the United States number of cases.
So
It's
first off,
going
let
up
me
We're
I
over
have to
2
One
million.
at a time.
I just have to correct you that you realize it's against the Constitution for the president to come into a state and shut it down. It's not happening. It's why the same reason he can't open them back up. That's a governor function. So to say that Trump would have did that, that's just disingenuous, for one. For two, I specifically remember Barack Obama saying, "What are you going to do? Wave a magic wand and have these construction jobs and manufacturing jobs come back?" And guess what Trump did? He did exactly that. He brought back manufacturing jobs. He killed NAFTA. NAFTA was a horrible. Again, I said this last time. I was a union worker when NAFTA came up. Clinton signed NAFTA into law. It was a horrible trade deal. Cost tens of thousands using jobs. That the China dumped steel and everything else onto our country under market prices. And Trump put an end to that. He said, "I'm going to stand up to China. I'm going to tariff. I'm going to put tariffs on China. I'm going to do the USMCA." I mean, he definitely puts his money where his mouth is and stands up and created jobs. Not like Barack Obama did. I'm sorry. You said he inherited this great. Everybody says, "Oh, I inherited it from Barack." Barack Obama didn't do. I mean, again, he sat up there and basically said these jobs aren't coming back. So, and again, to think that you could shut down and hide, which, I mean, obviously that's kind of Biden's thing, is to hide and not come out. But to think that you can hide from a respiratory virus is just foolish. Again, if the thing is, we need to. Again, the WHO, and I'm not a huge WHO fan either, but the WHO said, again, if you need to shut down to be able to get PPE in place and prepare your hospitals, that's what that time's to do. It's not to cure the virus. You cannot hide your way and shut your way down out of a pandemic. It just doesn't work that way. So, if you look at every place, again, every governor who stayed shut down right now, mostly Democratic, they're politicizing this virus and taking advantage of their citizens. Is what they're doing. Again, we're open in Florida.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
I have to think for a minute.
That happens to me all the time. I dream weave when I forget a question during the show on Saturday.
And my brain's another 30 years older than yours. So we are.
Not that many, but I hear you.
But
I have some harp music. You want me to play some harp music?
The idea of the shutdown, if it had continued, and if Trump himself had talked to the people and said, "Look, guys, we need to wear masks." This is one of the biggest facetious
It's fallacy.
It's a New York word. But, one of the messes is, we don't have discipline in the country now. Part of it is because he dished it out to governors and he didn't make a statement. And maybe he doesn't have the right to order states to do things. But if the president stood up and handled it and said, look, here's what we need to do, and he gave them the scientific answers that I'm sure you're more familiar with than I am.
Yeah, but masks don't work.
The mask and so on. That's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. I mean, again, it's a virus that's 0.07 microns in size. I think that you're going to put that silly thing on your face and it's going to protect you. Again, the CDC just did a study.
It's to
70,
protect
70,
others.
70 right, great. So 70% of the people in that CDC study wore a mask all the time. And if you think that those 70% of the people who are the mask shamers or the guys who want to wear them all the time were around maskless people, no way in God's green earth that happened. So you have these people who religiously wear the mask all the time, and 70% of those people got COVID. So again, well, all it does, again, it's a CD. I'll post the CDC data. Again, it's not 70% of the people that got COVID. It's the CDC study, right? So just to be clear about that, I'm not saying that they did the study. Everybody did COVID, but they studied a group of a couple hundred people. And 70% of those people said, I wear a mask all the time. And again, if you're a person who wears a mask all the time, you're going to be around people that wear masks. And 70% of those people caught COVID. So again, why is it? Because the masks don't work. It's a very small virus. And the way it's transmitted is it's aerosolized. So when you talk about things that are aerosolized, it's smaller than a particle of vape smoke. So if you can breathe out the mask, the virus is coming out with it. I get it that, hey, you guys want to use this argument that it takes these big particles. Well, listen, I was brought up with manners, and if I sneezed or coughed without covering my mouth, I got my ass kicked by my dad. So, cover your mouth, wash your hands. Those are the things you need to be doing. But now they've turned those masks into a political statement, right? Our local town has done the same thing. So, again, for every study that says, hey, masks work, again, go to the CDC. If the masks actually did work and they could prove it, the CDC would say masks work. They say, no, masks may work, because they would get sued if they said they work, because they don't.
CDC has consistently told people to wear masks. These are our best epidemiologists are saying people who wear masks, it's not just to protect themselves, it's to protect others. And that's a fact.
That's a virtue signal.
Trump has interrupted that, and he made it a political deal because he stood up against it.
No, Trump says, hey, I'm for masks. I said it yesterday during his debate, during his town hall.
Yesterday,
I'm all for masks.
First time.
It was a debate, not a town hall. That was a debate.
Oh, yeah, no shit. Yeah, I mean, but again, I don't want to get, the mask debate is something that no one's ever going to agree upon.
Yeah, Greg, I want you to hang on after so we could talk about some local thing with the
absolutely.
Thing. So this is turning into a COVID debate, not a
Trump.
It's the big thing.
Yeah, it is the big thing, and the other question I want to ask now, Dave, I'll get back to you is you think he's a failed president, but explain why.
He failed for two things. The first one, which I've talked about, is his approach on the pandemic, and being pig-headed about. He made statements that we didn't need to wear masks, and he refuses to give it up because he will never go back on anything. He'll never correct his thinking. He doesn't really think and make decisions and say, okay, I made a mistake. Let's do this. So that's a big part of the problem. The other part is all the corruption in his administration, and that is a failure. I saw something the other day that said, listed the number of people in government that had been charged with a crime under the last, 4 or 5 presidents. And it was as low as 1. And I think the highest was 23. And I don't remember which president that was, but Trump is like 254 or something. His administration had more people taken to court, in jail, or pending. It's terrible. It's a stain on the country. Those are the things. He's just a bull in the china shop. He never makes adjustments. It's my way or the highway. It isn't working.
So Greg,
but the question to you is why has he succeeded?
So Trump keeps his word again, and to say he's a corrupt administration. I mean, I don't know if you watch the news, and I'm sure it'll come up on my screen here pretty soon. But Joe Biden's going to prison, right? So he's corrupt. He's taking money right there. Yeah, the New York Post yesterday censored by all the media.
Well, okay, I do want to jump in on that. That laptop that just happened to be found 19, 20, 21 days before the election. Even I was suspicious about that. I mean. All of these years that have gone by, and all of a sudden, 21 days or whatever before the election,
regardless of how they got it,
the laptop. I mean,
regardless of how they got it, they're not denying it. And Joe Biden says, "Yeah, I think." Joe Biden adamantly got up there and said, "I have no business dealings with my son Hunter.
Right.
I don't know anything about it." And then when they asked him, he goes, "Yeah, I may have met with him now, even though it wasn't on my schedule."
I didn't see him say that.
Yeah, I did. I'll send it to you. He absolutely did.
Was this the pinnacle of journalism that I recall, the Daily New York Daily News? Is that where this
the New York Post, the second oldest newspaper in the country.
Anyway, go ahead, Greg.
So why do I think he's been succeeded again? He was investigated head to toe, 2.5 years. They came up with zero. Matter of fact, they came up with so much on him that they all had to destroy their phones before they turned him in. The whole Mueller team had to destroy all their phones. Right? They're probably going to jail for that too. But again, he keeps his promises. He says, "Hey, I'm bringing the troops home." What do he do? He brings the troops home. He says, "I'm going to stand up for our allies. I'm going to put our embassy in Jerusalem." Every other president gave it, including Obama, Biden, just gave it lip service. Never did it. Trump did it. Trump says, "I'm taking on the Chinese." Guess what? They did it. He did it. They didn't. He says, "I'm going to get us to be energy independent." Joe Biden can say all he wants and lie to everybody's face. He said he's not going to ban fracking right now because people are giving crap about it. But there's tons of recordings of him and Camilla both saying, we will 100% ban fracking. But again, Trump got us energy independent within 3 years. He got us out of the stupid Iran nuclear deal, which is a huge threat to our national security. He got us out of the dumbass Paris Climate Accord, which again was just raping our resources and utilizing us like patsies. Like I said, he already replaced NAFTA. Prison reform, right? So how many Obama said, "Oh, we're going to do prison reform." Again, no lip service from Trump. I'm just doing it. We're getting it done. He refunded the military. We're doing Space Force. He's making NATO countries pay their fair share. I mean, I literally have 4 pages of 8-point font. I could just go on. He fights human trafficking, right? He comes out. Look at the softball questions from. I mean, I think we'll probably get into that. But Jesus Christ, Trump gets asked about QAnon and all kinds of other shit, and Biden's like, "Oh, what color are you going to paint the White House? Fairy pink or something." It's killing me. So, and last thing I'll say is that Trump supports our veterans, right? He's taking on the VA. He's trying to get, and I'm not a veteran, but I have lots of friends who are. I totally respect our military. I have nothing but respect for people who served and gave me the freedoms I have. And Trump's a fighter for the VA. He's a fighter for our veterans, not like Mr. O'Biden here.
Anything you want to rebut on that, Dave? It was a lot.
Yeah.
He didn't even take a breath. He just kept going. That was one long sentence.
pretty much all of it.
By the way, I just want to say to everybody watching or who may be watching later that you notice that Greg has a Trump. He's got some kind of. Did you create that thing just for the show? Your little
I did.
Trump thing. And
Yes.
Dave has been consistent with his Biden-Harris sign. My sign in the back is, I don't know if anyone can see it. It's Jimmy Buffett for president sign. So that's how neutral I am on the.
He's going to vote for Biden, by the way.
That's perfect for Fort Myers Beach.
Right. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, first of all, it's not Camilla, it's Kamala. Now she's not going to be on the ballot, so you don't have to worry about how she says her name, but she'll be the vice president. So let me just correct you on that.
She's a piece of work.
When you talk about Trump's honesty, you gotta be kidding me, man. I haven't been keeping track, but the last time I saw it, the number of his lies that he's told were like 12,000, and I think that's a year ago.
So tell me one. Tell me when he lied today. Tell me when he lied in the last month.
I don't keep track of them. It's too many. How many times?
It's too many, but I can't name one.
Wait a minute. How many times did he say? Did he lie about whether he got a test before the debate?
He never lied. Tell me when he lied about it. I can tell you many times Joe Biden lied. I got many.
Just look look up the 16,000 or so. We don't have
Again,
time for it here.
I just want one. Just one.
And the veterans, you know as well as I do, he made himself clear on the veterans with the awful things he said about them.
He never said anything awful about them. Even the guy that wrote the book said, I was there. He didn't say it. Unlike Joe Biden on tape saying, laugh, you stupid
let him
bastard.
finish. Greg, let him finish. We let you go. Let him finish. Go ahead.
That's enough.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wait.
Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to talk over you. I get excited. I apologize, sir.
All right. So the last question that we had on our list, because Dave's got a very busy schedule. Are you out putting signs out tonight? Is that your assignment? You're putting Biden Harris signs out tonight?
Oh, they're out there. They're out there. They go out in the morning.
No, Orlando.
And we take them in at night because we've had signs stolen by Republicans in the past. So
how do you know it's not just Democrats that want to put them in their room like you?
No.
Republicans are sleeping. We have jobs.
So the
I
last
get to go first?
Who gets to go first? Doesn't matter to me. Okay. So give us the prediction on what's going to happen on November 3rd, Greg.
Oh, I thought you'd let him go first. So I muted myself.
It doesn't matter to me.
I muted myself so I wouldn't interrupt.
Go ahead.
So prediction for election. I think it's simple. I think you can vote for Trump. He's a man who thinks America is good. He's proud of America. He thinks Americans should be proud. He thinks America should be strong. Or you can vote for Biden, a man that thinks America is bad, right? Whose supporters are multiculturalists that play identity politics and just want to weaken our country. And that's the and again, I don't care what attitude. If you don't like Trump's hair, you don't like the way he talks, none of that matters. You know, Trump thinks America is good. He wants to strengthen our country. He does not want us to bow to our adversaries. And Biden and the people on the left just inherently think that America is bad. I don't believe that. I think the majority of Americans are good. You know, I fly a proud American flag in my house. You know, people criticize Trump. That's like they did the whatever you want to call that last night. Will you denounce white supremacy? And I literally have a 3.5-4 minute clip of him doing it over and over and over again for 3.5 years. You know, Joe won't denounce Antifa. You know, Trump wants to put legal scholars on the court, and Joe Biden says that the voters don't deserve to know whether he'll pack the court, which is the biggest threat to our republic to this day, and will turn our Supreme Court into a banana republic if the Democrats decide they're going to pack the Supreme Court. But Joe says the voters don't deserve to know his stance on that whatsoever. So I really think it's simple. I think that, you know, the media tries to gaslight Trump supporters.
So who do you think is going to win?
Oh, I think Trump's going to win 100%. I think it's going to be a huge thing. Here's why I think he's going to win too. The media tries to gaslight Trump supporters, right? So they call people don't want to say they and again, this was not me. I heard this on a podcast today. I 100% agree with it. That, you know, when people are polled, they're not going to tell you. I mean, I don't talk to pollsters. I don't want to talk to pollsters. People don't want to give people on the phone their opinion to Trump because the media makes it sound like so bad. But I guarantee there is a whole swath of middle America, whole swath of walkaway Democrats, libertarians, people who did not vote for Trump last time, who are going to come out of the closet to vote for Trump this time.
Dave, last word on that.
Okay. Well, the polling that I hear is that the main thing that is swinging the polls in favor of Biden, and he's up by, I think the latest was, I don't know, 12 or 13% nationwide, it is because of the people who are in the middle, the no party affiliate people. They're the ones who have swung from Trump in 2016 to Biden in 2020. And so he's got a very comfortable lead based on the polls. And the poll that I look at is I can't remember the name right now, but I may cut to it. But they look at the electoral college votes. So they're looking at states and how many electoral college votes there are. And so my prediction, Ed, you should write this down, because this will probably be amazing.
I'll bet you a beer, Dave.
Across the country, spread across. I'll take that, but
okay.
But I already owe Ed about $20 on other bets. So I'm guessing, based on what I've read from those polls, that I say Biden will win 300 electoral college votes. He needs 270, and that'll lead his 300 will leave Trump with 240.
So this might be putting you on the spot, Dave, but if you've thought this through, what states you think would switch from Trump to Biden?
Wisconsin.
You think Florida switches?
Florida, last I looked, Biden was leading, but it's a fairly narrow margin. I'm going to say it was 4%, maybe even less than that.
So margin of error,
and that's not really convincing. But Wisconsin, the states, the Midwest states mostly that swung it to Trump last time over Hillary, they're going blue. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and even I think it's Arizona is leaning blue now pretty substantially. So
let me ask you.
Remember 2016 polls.
Yeah, let me ask you this before I let you go, and that was what I was going to say. Did you think that Hillary was going to win based on the polling and what you saw on Election Day 4 years ago?
Yes, I did. Everybody did. I mean, there was only one guy I think that felt differently. Maybe it was Greg.
So what happened?
Well, polls are polls, and it was fairly narrow. She was only leading Trump by, I don't know, 3 or 4% at the most. So that's not enough. Now, she did win the popular vote by like 3
Which
million.
is meaningless, right?
We live in a constitutional republic.
Right.
Well, the 3 million, Mexicans who came in and voted in California. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
That is funny.
A joke. Anyway,
not untrue, but funny.
They can't come in now because of the wall. So
right.
Love it.
So
right.
where was I going?
Wrote it down. 300 electoral votes or 300 for Biden.
300
so
for Biden.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you tomorrow off because we had you tonight. I know you're busy out knocking on doors and kissing babies and
stealing Trump signs
everywhere. So thank you for coming on tonight.
Not doing any kissing.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right. Unless you have a mask.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. All right. Of course, everybody, that's Kim's dad, Dave, and we appreciate his opinion. Greg, we've gone back and forth for months now, I think, on this election and talked about, I don't think that people hate Joe Biden as much as they hate Hillary, and that anyone that thinks that this is going to be a landslide for Trump is they're just not. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a landslide. It's the country's 50-50. It's been 50-50, and they just don't hate him as much as they really disliked Hillary Clinton. I think there was more. There was also, like there was Bush fatigue, there was Clinton fatigue, and so and some people probably said, let's just try this guy and see what happens. And maybe those people think it was a good thing. Maybe they think, oh my gosh, not again.
Well, I think you had last time a lot of Republicans, quite frankly, who just didn't want to vote for Trump, right? So he was the non-establishment candidate. He came in and kicked the shit out of every Republican, again, the Ted Cruz's, the Mitt Romneys, and the career politicians. And there are people just saying, I'm just not getting behind this guy. And there are a lot of people who voted that way. And after him being in office, I mean, I think he's proven to a lot of those Republicans that, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm going to do this. I have good policy. I mean, you may not like my tweets, you may not like my attitude, but my policy is solid. And I think there's a lot of people in the middle, the libertarians who, again, I don't want to ever vote for Trump, who are like, okay, I kind of see, because and you've said this in the past too, that Trump's not a conservative, right? And I can kind of agree with that, but I definitely think he emboldens enough of the Republican ideals that people who were on the fence before, the libertarians, the disenfranchised Democrats, that they're going to come out and vote. And there's a huge silent majority of people who are like, okay, there's no way I'm voting for Kamala or Camilla or whatever her name is, and Sleepy Joe Biden, right? So it's not worth what they're going to take. But again, he's it's going to cost the average person right out the bat $3,500 a year, right? So we're somewhere around that number for increase in taxes. So it's the same thing with healthcare. Healthcare is a big issue. I think that I think the Republicans wasted a golden opportunity when they had both the House and the Senate when Trump's first 2 years to take care of healthcare. Healthcare doesn't work for anybody. I'm sorry. I mean, I make a pretty decent living. I can't afford to buy healthcare for my wife. It's just it's insanely amount of money. It's insane. It's just insane. So I think they had a golden opportunity. It didn't happen. We lost the House. Now we have crazy Nancy in there. But I think they see all this stuff. I think that people who may not be vocal, they see how Judge Kavanaugh was treated. They see what they did to Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, come on. Did you watch any of that? That lady's a saint.
I did.
She's a saint. I don't know how you. What can you ever say bad about her?
I think I did see some of the questions, like, did you ever sexually harass somebody? Which I'm totally embarrassed for everybody involved in that kind of question when you ask a judge that. I mean,
well, that's the senator from Hawaii.
That was one question that was just goofy. But I think goofy. Compared to Kavanaugh, they went easy on her. But I think that one of the theories that I heard was that they know she's getting in. There's no doubt she's getting in. And then if Biden gets elected, then they'll pack the court. But that's a whole
right. That's a horrible thing for our country.
I did want to chat with you real quick about the local mask stuff, because I'm trying to keep my opinion to myself on the local mask stuff, but on Fort Myers Beach, I don't live on Fort Myers Beach. I cover Fort Myers Beach. We have a website. We have a show. We love to go down there. I can't afford to live there like you can. I'm not one of the rich people in Lee County. I make minimum wage here in Gateway, and I don't even know if we have enough food this weekend for everybody.
I'll feed you.
And so the mask mandate down on the beach is interesting because the mayor seems to think that the mask mandates can still be not only upheld, but the fines are still valid. And I went back and I read the governor's order where the governor said that the fines are suspended.
Yep.
Does suspended mean only suspended backwards, or does
no,
suspended mean suspended? So what do you think the view of the people on the beach are?
So I'm going to tell you the view of the people on the beach, at least from when I go. And I go a lot of places on the beach. I love my island. I love the businesses here. I'm not an attorney, so this is not legal opinion. This is just my personal opinion. Again, reading the order. We need a new town attorney because he sucks. He obviously doesn't understand English. So there's no way so two things are going to happen. It's just, you can say it again. He can get up there and on his high horse and try to keep people under the thumb and say, I'm going to do it. Flat fact of the matter is, if a code enforcement officer asks me if I'm next to somebody, where's my mask? I'm going to give them the middle finger, and I'm going to tell them I'm under no legal authority to ID myself to you. Call the fucking sheriff. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but it's literally what I'm going to tell them. And again, I hate to put on the code enforcement guys. They're the beach patrol guys. They're actually super nice people. But they're just putting them in bad spots. They can't fine. It's just the governor's orders is we're not going to fine people for not for mask or not social distancing. We're just not going to do that because it's not in the spirit of what we're trying to do as a state. Secondly, no one listens to it, right? You go to a restaurant. I mean, let's just, again, so I would give the benefit of the doubt and say, let's just say masks work 100%. That, hey, you put this diaper on your face and you're going to be 100% free you're not going to catch COVID. Even if that's the case, the mandate that they have and the way it's written is the stupidest thing on the face of the planet. So put the mask on. Do you walk to your table, take it off, drink, eat, yell, scream, be merry. You got to go take a piss. Oh, put the diaper back on, walk to the pisser, come back. Come on. It's just no common sense. And I think the business owners are starting to see it too. It's like, I'm not going to lose business over this thing that just is not, it's saved exactly 0 lives. And it's just a virtue signal from people like Ray and like Veach and unfortunately Roxanne too. And that they want to keep this control. And I don't understand why. They're not making any difference, right? If I could see if it was making a difference. It's making no difference, right? None whatsoever.
Well, the other thing too is when they were talking yesterday about it's bad for business and people aren't going to restaurants.
He's wrong.
I don't know. I don't know where they're seeing that, because when I go down there, again, I don't live on the beach. I don't go out as much as you go out because you live on the beach. I'm not saying you go out every night.
I do.
But I know
okay.
you like to spend money at local restaurants and support the businesses. But when I'm down there, the restaurants are crowded and people are not wearing masks and they're having a good time. They want to live their lives. And so they're trying to, my thing is Lee County educates people. They're not saying don't wear masks, but they weren't dictating to people that masks are going to save your life, and things are getting worse. And so we need to be your babysitter. We need to make sure that you do things because you're too stupid to do things yourself. And that's always been my thing. I'm not even arguing whether masks work or not.
Right.
I have a mask in the car. I have a mask in my pocket. I have a mask in my gym bag. And I don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable if they think I should be wearing a mask. I will. But what I'm saying is, you put a law in place, and he said yesterday, the mayor said yesterday, don't think it doesn't have any teeth.
Right, and he's wrong.
It does. Well, I mean, what I want him to do tomorrow is, I just want them to come down and write me a ticket. That's what I want them to do. I want to stand in Times Square 5 feet from somebody, and I just want them to write me a ticket. I want somebody, and if the base guy wants to come down, I will volunteer my ID. Because I want to see if they're gonna be able to uphold that fine,
and they won't.
It's stupid to threaten people that way when they're trying to do the right thing. People don't want to get sick,
and that's just it. I mean, the attitude that comes out of that is one of I'm in charge, and you are my fiefdom, and you do what I say do, which is the wrong attitude to take. No one likes that attitude. We're in America, right? So that's why people fight the mask mandates. It's the reason that, again, your father-in-law thinks that Trump's going to lose Michigan. I'm sorry. I think Whitmer has lost Michigan for Biden.
Don't get off the subject.
I'm with you. But it's that attitude, the attitude that I don't have to. It's the same. So again, I had no issue with the mayor until he decided that. So when they closed the beaches here, that took away my liberty, right? So I'm here, and it took away everybody's liberty who lives in Lee County or anybody who wanted to come to the beach. When the county said we're opening our beaches and he kept the beaches closed, he's playing politics with my freedom. And that really pissed me off. So that kind of just shows you to me the kind of person that at least maybe that's the kind of person he is. Everybody says he's a nice guy. I don't personally know the man, but I can just tell you that attitude of I'm the mayor and we're the city, we're the council. And regardless of what anybody else says, this is the way it is. Right. And you're going to fall in line. That shit is just, he says the masks aren't political. That's all it is. He's just playing politics with it. And it's to play politics with someone's liberty makes you a tyrant. I mean, I know that you won't go that far, but I really believe that when you start to play politics with liberty, you become a tyrant. It's not making any difference either. That's the whole thing. So, well,
I just want, if there's a base employee down there tomorrow at 8:00 or 8:30 or something, I'm going to be standing in Times Square. I want somebody to write me a ticket. I want a no mask ticket just to see.
Wouldn't that be targeting though? Wouldn't they be targeting?
I'm requesting a ticket. I'm requesting somebody to write.
No, you're not requesting. You're just going to be down there without a mask. You're not asking
just so I can see if I want to see. I mean, what could the fine be? Even if what's the fine on an individual? I don't even care.
$50.
I want to see if the governor's rule applies. And again, I don't want people to take this the wrong way. I'm not telling people not to wear masks. I will have one with me, and what we do before the show is, we talk to people, if we're not 6 feet apart, what makes you feel comfortable? I mean, and we don't want, everybody wants to make sure you feel comfortable nobody wants to get sick. We're not trying to catch COVID. I'm just saying that the heavy hand of the law is the thing that really is the thing that bugs me the most because at the end, I think what's going to happen is, and people think this is crazy, we're going to be wearing masks forever.
Well, that's the
way it's going to be. That's the next thing. We're going to be wearing masks forever.
Even worse is they'll mandate a vaccine, right? So I mean, you work out. I don't know if you get a flu shot. I don't inject myself with anything.
No.
I mean, my body's a tent, and I treat it appropriately. But I'm not taking a mandatory vaccine. But that's where they want to go with. If they can mandate you to wear a mask, they're going to mandate you to get a vaccine. The issue, and I think you said something important. And I wanted to just get that point across too. So if I don't wear a mask anywhere I go. But if I go into some place and they ask me that, hey, that either I have to wear a mask or I need to leave, I'm not going to be an asshole. I'm not going to cause a scene. I will gladly leave. And when I'm at work, we have guys that come in. If someone came in and said, hey, I'd feel better if you were, one of my colleagues said, I would rather you have a mask on when we talk. Absolutely, I would do that out of respect for my coworker, right? Again, I don't, but I'm just not, I'm not going to willfully bow to these stupid mandates that make absolutely no sense, right? So, I mean, I have a brain, I can think. It just to do it because the mayor says to do it. Again, I see it all the time here. People walking down the street, no one around them, outside with a mask on. People driving in their cars by themselves with a mask on.
They're scared. There's somebody scared. They're scared the daylights out of them.
But they're not using they're not thinking, right? They're just letting the TV tell them.
That's right.
You should be scared. You should be scared. And again, to say it's not political, it's 100% political. They want people to be scared because what do scared people do? They obey, right? When you can stop being scared, you can start asking critical questions. You get your thought process back, and you can make good sense. Unless you're Joe Biden, you tell cops to shoot people in the leg. So.
All right, Greg, we've used our allotted time here, and I appreciate you coming on and being respectful to Kim's dad.
Well, he was much better than last week.
Oh,
I
100%
enjoyed talking to him. I'm happy to debate him anytime. So
great. All right, we will see you soon, and have a great weekend.
You too, brother.
All right, thanks to Greg for coming on. Thanks to Kim's dad, and don't forget tomorrow, episode number 135, live from Pete's Timeout. Come on down, nice and early. Wear your mask if you want to. And you wear your mask because you have to, not because you want to. That's the rule down there. Captains for Clean Water coming on first at 9 o'clock. And then Mike Hammond from Lee County and Brian Stockbridge coming on to talk about the November 14th Calusa Blue Wave Fishing Tournament. Thanks all for tuning in. Thanks to all our sponsors. And the lovely lady wife will be back tomorrow morning with us at 9 o'clock. So bye-bye.